بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه وبعد. نحن إن شاء الله مع حديث جديد من أحاديث بلوغ المرام في الكتاب الجامع باب الترهيب من مساوئ الأخلاق, with a new hadith in the chapter of warning from bad manners. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم: آية المنافق ثلاث: إذا حدث كذب، وإذا وعد أخلف، وإذا اؤتمن خان. متفق عليه. ولهما يعني البخاري ومسلم من حديث عبد الله بن عمرو بن العاص رضي الله عنهما أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال, يعني زاد فيه: وإذا خاصم فجر. وإذا خاصم فجر. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrated that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, there are three signs of a hypocrite. When he speaks, he tells lie. When he makes a promise, he breaks it. And when he is entrusted, he betrays his trust. Reported by Al-Bukhari and Muslim, both agreed upon this hadith. Al-Bukhari and Muslim also reported another narration on the authority of Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As radiyallahu anhu wa an Abih, may Allah be pleased with him and his father, and with an addition in the end, which he said, another quality of the hypocrite. And when he وَإِذَا خَاصَمَ فَجَرْ, when he argue or when he disagree, he is abusive, behaves in a very aggressive, insulting manners. That's what fajr means. This hadith, as you heard, is very authentic, reported by Bukhari and Muslim. Al-Bukhari reported in a chapter the sign of hypocrites, Babu Alamati al-Munafiq. Imam Muslim rahimahullah reported this in hadith with an addition also. Hajar didn't mention it here, but it's interesting. زاد مسلم في روايته قال أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أيضا قال وإن صام وصلى وزعم أنه مسلم. يعني آية المنافق هذه وإن صام وصلى وزعم أنه مسلم. In another narration, the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned these qualities or these characteristic traits of the hypocrites. Then he said, that's the hypocrite, even if he prays, fast, and claim that this person is Muslim. So even if he claimed that he is a Muslim, but he's still a hypocrite, because if he has these signs. في حديث عبد الله بن عمرو بن العاص, the one that he mentioned, he didn't mention the whole hadith, he just mentioned that addition, which is if he disagree with someone, or argue or disagree with someone, will basically be aggressive and use an aggressive and insulting manner. The hadith goes like this: أربع من كن فيه, four, if someone has them, كان منافقا خالصا, become like a full munafiq. ومن كان فيه خلة منهن كان فيه خلة من النفاق. And if you had one of these qualities, you have one of the qualities of the hypocrites. حتى يدعها, until you leave it. إذا حدث كذب, when he speaks, he lies. وإذا عاهد غدر, when he promise, and when he promise you something, betray you. وإذا وعد أخلف, when he give a promise, he will break the promise. So he betray and basically break the promise. وَإِذَا خَاصَمَ فَجَرْ, when he disagrees with you, he will be very aggressive and in a very insulting manner. آية المنافق. الآية in Arabic language معناها العلامة الظاهرة البينة, a very clear sign. So Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said this is a very clear sign for hypocrisy. There is so many signs for hypocrisy in the Quran and Sunnah. There is so many. But these are the most clear signs of hypocrisy. أظهر علامات النفاق. ذلك سميت آية. That's why we call the miracles of the prophets Ayatul Anbiya. They are miracles because very clear evidence for that he was sent from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hypocrite, al-munafiq, ismu fa'il al-nifaq, the one who has hypocrisy. Do you know that in the old days used to call actors hypocrites? Like if you look in English dictionary and you look at the actors, you know, they used to be called hypocrites. Because acting is what? Is doing something, you see it different than the reality. That's right? Different than the reality. So they call them hypocrites. Then it was later on used to describe that kind of people. And that's what the nifaq is basically you show what is different from what you have in your heart. In Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said in the first hadith, hadith number 3, and this hadith Ibn Umar, hadith Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, 4. طيب, what that means, is it 3 or 4? Many of the scholars said, no, it doesn't mean 3 or 4. And in Nabi Sallallahu, when he said 3 and another time he said 4, he doesn't want to limit it to 3 or limit it to 4. But one time he mentioned 3 qualities, and another time he mentioned 4 qualities. Maybe in another time he would have mentioned 5 qualities. We call this in Arabic al-adad la mafhuma lah. The number is not meant for itself. Because if you look at the Quran and Sunnah, the hypocrites, the sign of the hypocrisy in Quran and Sunnah, some of the ulama mention more than 40 verses and hadith, or 40 qualities were mentioned in the ahadith النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم and the verses of the Quran. 40. ذكرت أكثر من 40 صفة, or more than 40 qualities. ذكرت أكثر من 40 صفة للنفاق والمنافقين في القرآن والسنة. Here النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم was mentioning just an example of the top signs and the most dangerous one and the worst of them all. طيب, إذا حدث كذب. إيش معنى إذا حدث؟ إذا. What did we translate إذا? When. That's right. When. Did he say when or what did he say? If. If he talks or when he talks, he lies. That's right. إذا حدث. If he talks, I think it's the same between Arabic and English. إذا قلنا إذا حدث كذب, قال الخطابي, هذه تدل على إيش؟ على التكرار. يعني معناها دائما كل ما يحدث يكذب. كل ما يتكلم يكذب. It means if he speaks, he lies. Or better than if actually, it's when he speaks, he lies. So when you say when, that format, when he speaks, he lies, it means what? He lies a lot. So every time he speaks, he lies. Every time he's opening his mouth, he lies. Okay? And it means that it become what? His habit. Every time he break promise, betray you, fight aggressively. So it means we have to differentiate between someone lie once or twice, couldn't control his tongue and reactions, was aggressive. Okay, 1, 2 times. But that hypocrisy, the ayah, the sign of hypocrisy, that's something that is what? As a habit, part of his or her character traits. And that's dangerous. And that's very dangerous. طيب. What do we learn from this hadith? أول قضية هو أن المؤمن لابد يعرف علامات النفاق والمنافقين ويحذرها. أول قضية. The first point I would like to start with, that this hadith give an indication and tells us that we should always know what are the signs of hypocrisy and we avoid them. So it make you curious, what other qualities, what other character traits, what other, things that we should be careful for or we careful from. So we don't have these qualities. Because if you have the quality of hypocrites, you end up with them, a'udhu billah, and they are what? In the bottom of the hellfire. إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ فِي الدَّرْكِ الْأَسْفَلِ مِنَ النَّارِ. You don't want hypocrisy to take over your heart. And it grows. So that hadith gives us the importance of avoiding any sign of the signs of hypocrites. We have a whole surah in the Quran called Surah Al-Munafiqun. طيب. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about hypocrites, بشر المنافقين أن لهم عذابا أليما. Give the glad tidings to the hypocrites that they have nothing in the day but a very severe punishment. إن المنافقين في الدرك الأسفل من النار وَلَن تَجِدَ لَهُمْ نَصِيرًا. Surah Al-Nisa, by the way, filled with descriptions of the hypocrites, as well as Surah Al-Baqarah. Hypocrites will be in the lowest level in hellfire. وَيُعَذِّبَ الْمُنَافِقِينَ وَالْمُنَافِقَاتِ وَالْمُشْرِكِينَ وَالْمُشْرِكَاتِ. So he will punish the hypocrites, men and women. And also in Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَقُولُ آمَنَّا بِاللَّهِ وَبِالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَمَا هُمْ بِمُؤْمِنِينَ. Some people claim and say, we believe in Allah and the hereafter. But they are not believers. يُخَادِعُونَ اللَّهَ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَمَا يَخْدَعُونَ إِلَّا أَنفُسَهُمْ وَمَا يَشْعُرُونَ في قلوبهم مرض فزادهم الله مرضا ولهم عذاب أليم بما كانوا يكذبون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Baqarah verse 7 to 10 about those people who claim that they're believers but they are not. They try to deceive Allah and the believers, and the reality is they only deceive themselves. You don't trick Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is a disease in their heart, and that disease kept growing and growing until it took over their hearts completely. And that's why in the Day of Judgment, لَهُمْ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ, a very painful punishment due to what they used to lie, due to their lie. طيب. One other thing also that I want you to be aware of, when the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said this is one of the sign of hypocrisy or one of the sign of the hypocrites, it doesn't mean if you have this sign it means you're not Muslim, you are out of the fold of Islam. لا يعني هذا أن متصف بهذه الصفة يخرج من الإسلام أو مرتد. No, but it means your iman is low. It means your iman is shaking. It means your iman is getting less. It means you are in danger. It means you are going closer to the red zone. I know what it means. It means you have a sign or a quality which is so bad that you should be far away from it. Okay? So for example, if a Muslim who lies or a Muslim betrayed or a Muslim who when you disagree with, he argue or he react in a very aggressive way, that doesn't make him kafir, but it shows that this person has a sign of hypocrisy. And this can grow until it took over the heart and he leaves Islam. طيب. So that's why the ulama rahimahullah said this hadith could means one of the following. قالوا المقصود بالحديث هو تشبيه المسلم المتصف بهذه الأخلاق بالمنافق على سبيل المجاز لا على سبيل الحق. يعني as if the Prophet said that the one who has this quality looks like the hypocrites, similar to the hypocrites. And they said no, hypocrisy is two types. هناك نفاق عملي ونفاق اعتقادي. Hypocrisy which is related to belief and related to actions. Hypocrisy related to belief, that will take you out of Islam. You're not Muslim anymore. يعني ايش related to believe؟ يعني I never believed inside my heart. I just showed Islam because whatever reason. I want to spy on Muslims. I never really said La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. I never really believed in it. I just said that because I want to protect myself. You know, I don't want to be, for example, taken as a prisoner. Or in the old days when the wars and stuff like that, I don't want to be killed. Or I don't want to be a prisoner of war. So he claimed Muslims. But his heart, he never believed it. Like the one that did on the time of the Prophet ﷺ. So they said, this hadith, when the Prophet said sign of hypocrisy, he's referring to the hypocrisy in the action, not in the heart. So those people, believers, but this is called nifaq amali. And that's what Ibn Rajab rahimahullah, Al-Hafidh ibn Hajar, Al-Qurtubi, and many scholars have supported. Also, it was said, in هذا الحديث, this hadith, the Prophet said, call it a sign of hypocrites, or a sign of hypocrisy, to warn people from it, and to make people away from it, because hypocrisy is something everybody knows it's bad. Hypocrites, it's a bad word, so he wants you to stay away from these qualities as much as you can. It is some of the opinion. There is a weak opinion saying that the Prophet meant by this hadith the hypocrites, not he was talking about the hypocrites. He was telling the Sahaba, how can you figure out hypocrites in Medina? As if it's only related to the time of the Prophet, but that's not correct, as Ibn Rajab rahimahullah said. You just heard me saying, an-nifaq is to show something different than what you have. So you show Islam, but inside you have kufr. And it is either major one, related to belief, i'tiqadi, and like somebody inside his heart, he say, for example, inside his heart, he would say something like what? Oh man, I will tell you a real story. It happened to me when I was in high school. I was with one of my friends overseas, and we were reading Quran or something like that. Then his older brother came in, Muslim family from an Arab country, from a religious household. His mother is a very religious woman, and I know the family very well. His younger brother is still a friend of mine. His brother came in, his older brother, way older than him. We were like in high school, and his brother was like in his late 30s or mid 40s. That's how older he was. Then he looked at us and he said, oh man, you guys still believe in this nonsense? Death, adhab al-qabr, and soul is going to go somewhere, and Jannah and Nar. Hey, it's okay. For you guys as teenagers, it's okay. So you guys can behave well. And I was like, what? What did your brother just say? Then he started talking. He said, no, I don't believe in. I said, you go to the masjid sometimes? He said, yeah, because my dad, my culture. I really don't believe. I said, whoa, هذا نفاق, hypocrisy. His name is Muslim, he acts like Muslim, but inside he doesn't believe at all. Somebody in his heart, he doesn't like Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yeah, he really believes in what he's saying. That's hypocrisy. That's nifaq. Nasallahu al-afiyah. That's take the person out of Islam. That's not a Muslim. Another one which is related to actions, al-amali, like what we just said. But the problem that you should be aware of comes in what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, and the Prophet mentioned in the hadith as we heard earlier. قال فأعقبهم نفاقا في قلوبهم إلى يوم يلقونه. Allahu Akbar. بما أخلفوا الله ما وعدوه. Because they broke their promises with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so many times, Allah turned their hearts to be filled with hypocrisy. That's why it's dangerous. When you keep lying, what did Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said? يهدي إلى الفجور والفجور يهدي إلى النار. If you keep lying, you become a liar, and you become a liar, you go to the level of fujur, which is you far away from the religion. And when you became far away from the deen, far away from the istiqamah, far away from being in the straight path, what happened? You end up in hellfire. That's why Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, if you have one of them, you have one quality of hypocrisy. But if you have all of these signs and you maximize them, you lie all the time. It's not like rarely. No, lying is the default. I guess we know that very well, that's right. Just watching the election, people lie just like simple, Trump lies all the time, nobody really care anymore. It became so obvious. Politicians lie all the time. And so on. So lie became so common. That's it's not only rarely, no, that add to this other qualities. قال يصبح منافق خالص الإيمان خالص النفاق. He will be a pure hypocrite. طيب. One of the lessons we learn from this, طيب, that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned in this hadith the worst examples of the sign of hypocrisy, or the sign of the hypocrite, or the character trait of the hypocrites. طيب. Our religion is based on our iman is based on three principles, which is الإيمان يكون قول وعمل واعتقاد, صح? Statement, belief, and action. That's right. Kufr is the same. Hypocrisy is the same. النفاق نفس الشيء, قول وعمل واعتقاد. والكفر قول وعمل واعتقاد. Same thing. So in Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam giving here an example of hypocrisy, or the sign of hypocrites, in these three areas. Al-qawl, verbal, like what? Lying. Okay? To lie. And actions, betraying. And action of the heart, related to the heart, like breaking promise, because I made the promise and my intention not to fulfill the promise. So it shows you the action of the hearts, the action of the limbs, and what? And the verbal, the word, which is the lying. So in Nabi give an example in every one of these three areas. طيب. This hadith also shows us another point, that the Muslim can have one of the sign of hypocrisy. تقدر تستخدم هذه إذا أردت، أو حتى واحدة من الكراسي. relax yourself. طيب. أن المسلم قد يجتمع في خصال الخير والشر. The Muslim can have good and bad qualities. So he's a Muslim but still have one of the sign of hypocrisy. So don't be looking for perfect. People have this and that. أيضا بلاغة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في التعليم بالتشويق والإيضاح حيث ذكر العدد قبل المعدود. This is an interesting way of teaching. You make people excited. You make people waiting for what you're going to say. Like cliffhanger, we say. Not really, but similar like to that concept. So he said, the sign of hypocrisy are three. He get your attention. Three, what are they? You see what I'm saying? And instead of saying, when you lie, when he speaks, he lies. When he makes a promise, these are the three signs of hypocrisy. I might not pay attention to the first one because I was not paying attention. So I might miss one or the first one. But now, no, I make you well aware. There is three signs I want you to know about hypocrites. Everybody attentive now. It's a very interesting way of lecturing and talking. As a teacher, I know that. Sometimes I tell the students, hey, I have three things I want to discuss with you today. So everybody, wow, okay, I got it. And I can focus right in what you want. One more thing we talk about this hadith also, and al-kadhib, lying. And one of the clear signs of hypocrisy. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إياكم والكذب. Be aware of lying.
فإن الكذب يهدي إلى الفجور وإن الفجور يهدي إلى النار وما زال الرجل يكذب ويتحرى الكذب حتى يكتب عند الله كذابا. That a person will lie, and that lying will lead to fujur. The person will be far away from the religion. And the person will continue lie to the extent that you lie in everything. يتحرى الكذب. Yani I made up, I don't need to make it up. Like let's say, and this is so hard and very true by the way. Like, hey, Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Where did you pray Jumu'ah here today? Yeah, I came in the first khutbah, and he didn't come. You don't have to tell me pray. Maybe you prayed somewhere else. I'm not going to be mad. There's no reason for you to lie, but the person lied. Because it became so toxic, became so poisoned, become the tongue so impure that khas you can't say the truth anymore. And that's why it is so important not to let your kids lie. And don't push them to lie through fear. And no matter what, make sure that they understand that truthful, it is way more rewarding than lying. And you get that habit, your spouse, your family, people around you. It is so important that we fight this back. ما كان خلق أبغض إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من الكذب تقول عائشة رضي الله عنها يا محمد. Before this hadith, the previous hadith, Nabi صلى الله عليه وسلم said, and the person will continue lie until he will be written. He will be written with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a liar. يكتب كذاب. His name will be a liar. His title will be a liar. Known among the angels and known to Allah as the liar. كذاب. Aisha said that in Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the quality that he hated the most is lying. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ in Surah Al-Isra verse 36. One of the interpretation of this verse, أي لا تقل رأيت ولم ترى وسمعت ولم تسمع إن السمع والبصر والفؤاد كل أولئك كان عنه مسؤولا. Don't claim that you heard or you saw something and you didn't. You will be asked. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq رضي الله عنه said, أيها الناس إياكم والكذب فإنه مجانب للإيمان. O people, stay away from lying because it contradicts Iman. Because Iman is about what? Faith is being faithful, not being lying. It means sincerity. That's the opposite of lying. Ali رضي الله عنه قال أعظم الخطايا عند الله اللسان الكذوب وشر الندامة ندامة يوم القيامة. The worst sin in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's eyes is the sin of the tongue, the sin of lying tongue. And the worst type of regrets, we regret over many things, that's right. I regret that I bought this car. I regret that I moved to the city. I regret that I took that route. I regret that I ate that food, that's right. But the worst regret will be what? The regrets of the Day of Judgment. Make sure that you don't regret there. No matter how many times you regret things that you did in this life, don't regret in the Day of Judgment. كان مالك بن دينار رحمه الله يقول الصدق والكذب يعتركان في القلب حتى يخرج أحدهما صاحبه. Malik ibn Dinar said, truthfulness and lying, fighting one another inside you, and one of them will take over. One of them will kick the other one out. Yazid ibn Maysara said, إن الكذب يسقي باب كل شر كما يسقي الماء أصول الشجر. You see, if you have a tree and you want the tree to grow, what do? You put water for it, that's right. When you put water, the trees grow. The tree grows. ابن ميسرة يقول يزيد بن ميسرة يقول lying is like the water to the tree, but it water what? It water all evilness inside you. So whatever evil deed you can think of, the water, the thing that give it life and give it support and makes it grow stronger in your heart is lying. The way water make the tree grow. Al-kadhib levels, darakat. The highest al-nifaq al-a'zam, the major hypocrisy has to do with the heart, the belief, that you don't believe in God and you just say, you act like you do, but you don't. What can you think of? What is the second level? What is from the worst? So the worst, you claim you're a believer, and in reality, you're not. You're only saying this for a bad intention, to harm someone or something. You know, when I marry a woman, I just said, I'm Muslim. And inside my heart, I never, ever believed in Islam. Or she want to marry a guy, she said, I'm Muslim. But she never believed in him. That's hypocrisy. That's one of the worst type of lying. What do you think will be the second? If you think about what will be the worst type of hypocrisy, of lying, sorry. What's the one of the worst form of lying you think? Come on, let's see what you guys say. ايش تعتقدون أسوأ أنواع الكذب بعد النفاق الأكبر؟ ولا تقولوا لما تصف ألسنتكم الكذب هذا حلال وهذا حرام لتفتروا على الله الكذب إن الذين يفترون على الله الكذب لا يفلحون. Is to claim this is halal and haram, and you lying and you know you're lying. Is to attribute lie to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by saying Allah loves this, Allah forbade that, Allah made this obligation, Allah wants you to do that, and you have no knowledge of that. You just making this up. Do not say about what your tongues assert of untruth. This is lawful and this is unlawful. To invite falsehood about Allah. Indeed, those who invite falsehood about Allah will not succeed. The third, الكذب على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لأنه من جنس الكذب على الله. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من كذب علي متعمدا فليتبوأ مقعده من النار. The next level of lying is to attribute lie to the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. To say the Prophet said that and it's a lie. To make up a hadith. And by the way, people made up hadith. Sometimes they made up hadith to promote their business. They said there is a guy who used to sell dates. So he put all these dates, okay, and he traveled to sell it. You know, when you have a merchant, you need to sell it quickly before it goes bad, that's right? He traveled and he reached that village. And he said, I have dates, who want to buy dates? Nobody buying dates. So they told him, why nobody buying dates here? They said, because all what we eat, fish. Can you imagine fish and dates? That doesn't sound like right. They don't go together, that's right. سمك وتمر, ما يمشي مع بعض. Just think about it, fish and date, they don't go along, that's right. They said, it doesn't work, like the taste will not, we eat fish all the time. Then he said, that's even better. They said, how come? He said, the Prophet ﷺ said, إِذَا أَسْمَكْتُمْ فَأَتْمِرُوا. ألفها هو واقف. He said, the Prophet said, if you eat fish, follow it with a date. He made up the hadith to make his business grow. Lie. A'udhu billah. Or another person once made up a hadith just to please the ruler. He added a lie to hadith just to please the ruler. He was with al-Mahdi and he just added an addition about the permissibility of
bird race. The hadith didn't mention racing between birds. He talked about a race between horses and things like that. He added أو جناح. He added or birds. Yani as if the Prophet allowed it. And he just said that to suck up to the ruler. That's one of the worst, to add lie to the Prophet. Some people made lies and fabricated hadith to bring people to Islam or to bring people to religion. Some people made up hundreds of hadith. They made it up completely from their own about the virtues of this surah, of that surah, this. Why? Because he was asked, why did you do that? He said, because I saw people abandon the Quran. They don't read Quran anymore. So I made up this hadith so they get excited about it. That's one of the worst form of lying. He said, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, you expect no place for yourself in the day of judgment except hellfire. And you know what's scary? That the Prophet also said, لا يكن أحدكم أحد الكاذبين علي. Don't be one of the two liars. Two liars? Okay, understand. The liar, the first one is the one who made up the hadith, who made up the statement, who made it up. So what's the second one? The ulama said the one who spread it. So not everything it comes in your Facebook or your WhatsApp group, the Prophet said, and you don't know anything about it, you just pass it on. Be careful what you pass, what you spread among people. You make sure that it has at least a reference. Who reported the hadith, Imam Ahmad or Tirmidhi or Bukhari, Muslim, ila akhir. Another one which is one of the worst form of lying, قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ألا وشهادة الزور ألا وشهادة الزور. He said one of the worst sin, one of the worst major sins, سبع الموبقات. And he mentioned from it, one, to give a false testimonial in court against an innocent person. You go to the court and you make a testimonial that it's false, either because you want someone to go to trouble or to get someone out of trouble. Just because it's your body, you go to the court and you say, oh, he was with me, give him alibi. That's haram. That's one of the worst sins. Okay? Also, shahadat al-zur, somebody can give a false recommendations. I know nothing. I know this person, and I testify that this guy is so good, and that's haram. So even shahadat al-zur levels. But the worst form of it, the one in the court. Also, what else? قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ثلاثة لا يكلمهم الله يوم القيامة ولا يزكيهم ولا ينظر إليهم حتى النظر ما ينظر إليهم. ليه؟ لأنهم على النار مباشرة. Three people, Allah will not talk to them, will not look at them, they will not be treated in any form of respect or anything like that. Straight to the hellfire. Three people. Who are they? And they have a very painful, great painful punishment, or severe painful punishment. وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ عَظِيمٌ. Shaykh زَانٍ, an older person who's an adulterer. وَمَلِكٌ كَذَّابٌ. Ya salam. A king who's lying. Because king doesn't need to lie. You're the government. You the head, why would you lie? You should not fear anyone. وَعَائِلٌ مُسْتَكْبِرٌ. A poor person but so arrogant. See himself above everybody else. But the point is, the second one, قال ملك كذاب. A liar, a lying king. A king who lies. Or a president who lies. Or a prime minister who lies. Or a government who lies. That's a very, very dangerous sin in Islam. One of the worst form of lying. Because you expect the leaders to be trusted to lead you. So if the leader lying, oh, the government, don't worry. And there is like all this plotting, behind the scene.
Also قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إن من أفرى الفرى يعني من أكذب الكذب الفرى من الفرية والكذب إن من أفرى الفرى أن تري عينك ما لم ترى. في البخاري النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم said one of the worst form of lying is to claim a dream that did never happen. You claim a dream that never happened. Oh, I saw and dreamed this, that day, this and this and that. And you just made it up. Can anybody tell me why it is one of the worst form of lying? Why lying about, like making up a dream, is one of the worst form of lying? Why the Sharia see it this way? Because good dream from Allah. قال رؤيا صالحة من الله. Good dream are from Allah. So when you made it up this dream, as if you attributing life to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I remember once somebody told me, Shaykh Waleed, it worked, but I'm not sure if it is right or wrong what I did. I said, what did you do, man? He said, we have a guy who works with us in our shop who don't pray Asr. Obviously, it looks like he doesn't pray at all, but at least Asr, Asr comes and ends, and he didn't pray with us. So one day I told him, hey, I saw in my dream. I saw you in my dream. He said, khair. And one of these guys who cares about dreams a lot and stuff like that. Then he said, what did you see? He said, I saw you nice, wearing suits and look like professional kid look. And you were risen between the heavens and earth, and somebody came with a sword very long and he cut you two half. It was so terrifying, part here, part there. And I was watching and he said, no, don't. Then he said, leave him. He doesn't pray Asr with you guys. Wallahi, Shaykh Waleed, he will be calling the adhan and the iqamah. He will make the wudu. He will come first one to pray every day. And I said, is this true dream? He said, no, I just made it up just to scare him. I said, that's haram. No excuse, nothing. Means doesn't justify, ends doesn't justify the means in Islam. طيب. Another one, which is also the Quran and Sunnah talked about, which is اليمين الغموس يعني اللي تغمس صاحبها في النار. The oath that you swear by Allah lying. Salat Allah. For what? For money, for profit. Wallahi, it's fresh. Yeah, sure. Somebody sent me a video of a guy selling fish. Keep swearing, wallahi this, wallahi that, wallahi. And look, it's just moving. And he twists the fish like this, and then the fish move. He's very smart the way he make it looks like, like fresh. But it's lying. Wallahi, it is this, wallahi, it's original. So he swear by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just for the purpose of making his business, to promote his business. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى إن الذين يشترون بعهد الله وأيمانهم ثمنا قليلا. Indeed, those who exchange the covenant of Allah and their own oaths for a small price will have no share in the hereafter, and Allah will not speak to them or look at them in the day of resurrection, nor will He purify them, and they will have a painful punishment. Al-Bukhari rahimahullah said that this verse was revealed in relation to a person who sold a merchandise and he swore by Allah about how authentic, how good it is, but he was lying. Okay? طيب. أيضا قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من كذب ليضحك الناس. وفي الترمذي ويل للذي يحدث بالحديث ليضحك به القوم فيكذب.
وَيْلٌ لَهُ وَيْلٌ لَهُ. A severe punishment for those who lie just to make people laugh. He lies about you just to make people laugh, to make fun of you. Also, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told us about another type of lies, which is something you should be careful of. The one who lies, who makes a lie, and it became a rumor. الذي يكذب الكذبة فإيش فتتخطى الآفاق. It became a rumor, spread widely. You know, like it became like a trend, or it became news. They made up on they make it so popular, and it is completely lying. Like this guy who said, for example, every year we have this lie comes out. Oh, the Prophet ﷺ came to me while I'm sleeping in the back of the masjid in Rasulullah ﷺ masjid, and he wakes me up and he said, Ya Ahmad, you are the servant of my masjid, and you do this and you do that, order people to pray this amount of rak'ah with this amount of verses, repeat this. Every couple of years, the same story comes up. Somebody made that up. It's lying. And it became very popular all over the place. He lied about something and it became so popular. That's قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. He saw a dream صلى الله عليه وسلم. And in his dream, an angel took him. He said, and when I'm traveling with this angel, he saw so many different people in different positions. And each one of these person represent something that will happen in the grave to the people after their death. So one of them, he said, قال فلأتينا على رجل مستلق لقفاه وإذا آخر قائم عليه بكلوب من حديد وإذا هو يأتي أحد شقي وجهه ويشرشر يعني يقطع شدقه إلى قفاه ومنخره إلى قفاه وعينه إلى قفاه ثم يتحول إلى الجانب الآخر فيفعل به مثل ما فعل بالجانب الأول فما يفرغ من ذلك الجانب حتى يصبح ذلك الجانب كما كان ثم يعود فيفعل ما فعل في المرة الأولى. قال قلت سبحان الله ما هذان فقال لي يعني هذين الملكين انطلق انطلق. قال صلى الله عليه وسلم في آخر الحديث وأما الرجل الذي أتيت عليه يشرشر شدقه إلى قفاه ومنخره إلى قفاه وعينه إلى قفاه فإنه الرجل يغدو إلى بيته فيكذب الكذبة تبلغ الآفاق. هذا هو عذابه. That the Nabi صلى الله عليه وسلم said in that dream he saw a man sitting and another person with a hook. Okay? And he will put the hook on that, he will make a cut in that person's cheek, and he will pull the cheek on one of the side of the face all the way to the back of the head. And he will put one of the nostrils of your nose, all of the nose, all the way back to the head. And the eyes all the way, he will pull it all the way to the back. Then when he finished, he will go do the same thing to the other half of it. By the time he finished the other half, the first half goes back normal. So he go back to do the same to it. By the time finished, the other half goes back normal. And he keep repeating this one time, all the time. That's the punishment of that person. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, SubhanAllah, that's terrible. What this person have done? Then it was told to him, this is the person who lied, and his lie became reach very far, became so popular. Be careful from rumors. Be careful from spreading lies about people. These are dangerous. These are real. These things are real thing that you should be very, very careful from. I give you some examples of I see in modern days form of lies that's so common. I found one of the common form of lies when people propose for marriage. يكثر الكذب جدا عند الزواج. When people propose to marriage, okay, or engagement, a lot of people lie, men and women. And they lie in many different ways. Sometimes they lie about themselves.
One of the sisters once, she told me her story. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give her success. She told me how when she became Muslim, somebody married her, and she said, before Islam, I never ever slept with any man in my life, and like I believe in marriage, and I believe you cannot have a relationship with a man without marriage. This is something I believe before Islam. So she said, and I became Muslim about like 17 or 18. So she ended up, or 19, so that she ended up Muslimah like in the 20th. And they told her, oh, this brother want to marry you, in the masjid. And they pushed her to marry him. I have a business, I sell diamonds, jewelry. And she said, I was financially in a big, big trouble. So, I was working two jobs, and you know what? I was young. I said, "Khalas, let's start my life." I was like in early 20s. And I married a guy. I have a small apartment, a small car. The guy came in. I remember still, he gave me one of his business cards, and the guy is successful. Second day, first night, second day in the morning, after breakfast, things. He said, I just want you to know that I don't have a green card yet, but it's in process. Green card? I thought you said you're an American. No. I will be American, inshallah. And she said, I kind of take back, but you know what? It's first day in marriage. It's not a very good thing to start your first day in life with. She said, I waited. In about a week, 3 days, I noticed that the guy didn't leave we didn't go out. We go out in my car. Okay, what about your car? He said, oh, my car was not very well, and can I have another spare key for your car? She said, no. Why, we are married now? She said, yeah, but where is your car? He said, no, my car was not, working very good. And anyway, to make the story short, the guy told her, I have no job. All this was just dreams, and no job, no cars, no business. He's illegal. That's why he cannot work, and he needs her to help him. She divorced him. She kicked him out. And I think 3 days. Yeah, 3 days. She said, you have 3 days to make the registration of the marriage official in the court. She said, we didn't even do that. She kicked him out. Lied. And that hurts. She was waiting for this moment, even before Islam, the moment where she will be married to someone. She married another one, subhanAllah, she will fit and care. So you know how this is serious. She married another one, also lied to her. And she found out after she married him that he's Shia. Even though she asked him, you're Sunni? He said, yes, I'm Sunni. So lying is a common thing in marriages. You lie about your age, about your income, about your past. Lying is a common problem when it comes to marriage. Even after marriage, lying in the look. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. We get questions, Shaykh, can I go do an operation to get my hymen back? I lost my virginity and I want to get it back because this. Even covering up some of the lies. So I'm surprised by the amount of lies that I come across when it comes to marriages. Another, for example, lie after marriage. A lot of people lie to each other. There's no truthfulness in the relationship, and that's very bad. One of the worst form of lying, in my opinion. Another form of lying when you look for a job. And unfortunately, recently I've been getting a lot of discussions from people telling me, Shaykh, the recruiting, I go take a certificate, for example, in computer, okay, in certain skills in computer science. The certificate, the company who made that, they will tell me, we'll get you a job, but we have to write in your resume that you have a 10 years experience. I said, I don't have even 10 days experience. I said, don't worry, we'll guarantee this. And in a matter of month, I got this question 3-4 times from 3-4 different, some individual and some of it in a committee of fatwa. And imams and stuff like that sending me this question. It is sad when people in job, they lie. They put in the resume things which is not true. That's not allowed. Another form of lying, which is very common in social media. People lie about they have many faces, not only one Facebook, they have many faces. In Facebook. And lie, hypocrisy. Hypocrisy. He has many accounts, many usernames for very evil things. Hypocrisy. He'll have a double standard, double life. Lying also in social media by spreading lies, which is also very common. One of the form of lying, giving you half the truth. By the way, that's a lie. Half the truth is sometimes worse than a full lie. Half the truth. No, that's not true. It's like also in media. Media lie a lot, and especially in election season, lie a lot. They lie about people, a candidate. They made up stuff about them. They lie about the Muslim community. They lie about individuals. This is a lot of lie happen, about individuals. When there is like a campaign against someone to destroy that person's reputation, you'll find all kind of lies. And lying about, as I said, in election season, there's a lot of lies from politicians and promises that they know they will not keep. Also, one of the form of lies that is so dangerous, الكذب على العلماء والدعاة والمصلحين ونسبة الفضائع إليهم. And this is something very hurtful. Okay? When people attribute lie to scholars, to du'at, to imams, to religious figures, to basically popular people. And the lie will be what? They come to a conclusion, then they said this person believe in that. They would say this person believe in that. And the person never said that. That's your understanding. That's your assumption. And that's lying. And that's lie and shahadat zur, a false testimony about somebody, that's hurting a righteous person. So it's a multiple layers of problems. A lot of people, all what they do on social media, they try to make people look bad by making up stuff, even through half-truth, twisting what's happening. Recently, somebody brought to my attention, somebody was mad at Waleed Basyouni. Why are you mad at me, ya Habibi? How come I said in one of my khutbah, let's talk about how that it is understandable that people who are righteous, who are knowledgeable, who are in a very high status in Islam, can make mistakes and can make mistakes about things that is major and things which is not, correct, and very clear mistakes. Even though they are very well known, very high, that will not lower their status, that will not mean that they are bad or anything like that. But everybody can make a mistake. And I give an example of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, when they said to the Prophet ﷺ, or in the incident, when we say the Sahaba, we don't mean every single Sahabi, and you have to be an idiot to think that way. Okay? But when basically they said, Ya Rasulullah, what about you make for us a tree, whatever? Oh, Shaykh Waleed, how come that you think evil about the Sahaba? What? So, because you don't understand or you don't have the ability to understand, you accuse other people of, being disrespectful to Sahaba, blah, blah, blah. And just to give an example myself, because there is many, many examples like this online. Tons of examples like this. You never, and people think, oh, they're gonna be famous or whatever just because they attack some of the du'at or some of the pursuit of knowledge. And you're never gonna look good trying to make someone else looks bad. Take it as a rule. You will never look good trying to make somebody else looks bad. It's ugly and it's bad. And it's dumbing the generation. Because you have to be dumb to buy into this. Just give me one more minute. Just to finish up this, one of the form of lying I see in modern days today, lying to children. And that's very bad. Don't teach children lies. In Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, من قال لصبي تعال هاك ثم لم يعطه فهي كذبة. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, if you tell a child, come take this, or you hide something for him, and he comes to you and there is nothing in your hand, the Prophet said, that's a lie. That's a lie. It will count against you as a lie. In Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, also there is another incident similar to that, just because of the time. Also, one of the form of lies in modern days is identity theft. That's also a form of lie that is common today. Somebody stealing your identity and use it. That's a very common form of lying in modern days. I will end with this. وهي قول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم المتشبع بما لم يعطى كلابس ثوبي زور. That's a double lie. What's the double lie? The one who claims something he or she doesn't have. He claimed knowledge that he never had. He claimed fame that he is not. He claimed this that is. I remember somebody came to me and said, Shaykh, I just want you to know who I am. I said, yeah, assalamu alaikum. And everybody, and I'm not going to mention names, even some of the mashayikh that, you have to meet this Shaykh. He's so awesome. He's so cool. He's in one of the northern states. And I've been hearing about this Shaykh from so many people. I never heard of him before, but like a lot of good friends of mine, like really impressed with those guys, Imam Masjid, or Imam or whatever. He's not an Imam particular Masjid, but no, anyway, I saw the guy. In less than 10 minutes, I looked at my friend and I said, this guy is Dajjal. This guy is a pure fake. He's a fake guy. He just fake. He's fake. He's just, what do you call it? Baloney. This land, in Manhattan, $26 million. I almost made a closing on it. Sure. Okay, I'll let it go, maybe. Then he started talking about, the Imam of Haram so-and-so, his daughter, he asked me to marry her, but I said, I can't. And I know the guy he's talking about. He can play that in America. People here don't know anything about Haram, Madri. It doesn't fly with me. The exact person he talked about is a good friend of mine personally. I know this guy has how many daughters and what they are married and what age they are, and I know his children. And I didn't say anything. Wow, mashallah, yeah, you know him? And I acted like, okay, just to see where this guy goes. In about 10 minutes, 3, 4 lies like this. Want to impress people with something he doesn't have. كلابس ثوبي زور. Claiming that I'm Hafiz al-Quran, claiming that I read the book, claiming I'm a Shaykh, claiming this. It's so dangerous. But also it appears in our daily life. You claim something that you're not. You act, especially in social media. A lot of people do that. Sorry for keeping you waiting, especially our dear brother Azad. Well, inshallah, next week we'll talk about breaking the promise, betraying, and khasama fajr. When you disagree with the person, you would go
aggressive, what do you call that? Aggressive? Fajr? Go bazooka. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Go ahead.